Good afternoon, Code Simplifier tribes. Behzad is here with another video for beginners programmer. This is a second video of developing the password checker, and if this is the first video you are watching, I highly recommend to just go back to start from the beginning and watch the first video, because we explain a few rules and do's and don'ts in writing codes, and it will be good to have an idea what are we going to do. And I will leave the link of that video in the description of this video. Let's talk and let's get into it. Let's say you started to work for a company and your manager is requesting you to developing a password checker using Python. And this is a document they are giving to you, which basically you have to read the documents, go through it and understand what you have to do. So it sounds confusing and it's lots of information here, but don't worry, we are going to take it step by step together and we're going to break it down, and by end of this video you will developing your first Python program which they can check the password. So I'll leave this screen on, or alternatively you can just pause the video, read the document and read the information, what it gives you and what it asks for you. Just quickly going through it. So the manager asks you to develop the password and you have to determine the password entered by the user either is strong, is weak, or is include numbers only, letters only, or is a strong password. So data types is string. We'll accept the string from our users. The description is going to be user's password, and the return or process will be data type. It will be a string. Source will be keyboard because the user has to enter the password using the keyboard, and the output will be the screen. And here we have the pseudo codes for the password checker. So the input will be again string. The process is we have to write the code to determine if the password contains number or letters only. If it does, we have to show a message, or if it's a mix of letters and numbers, then we have to show another message. And the output will be print the message on the screen. So that means the user will see what is the outcome. Before we start, we have to determine where we are going to save our documents and our project. The reason I'm emphasizing on this context is you have to make sure and you have to understand where you're saving the codes, because later on in this video we have to come back and refer to our root or the pathways to our folders, and then if we know where they are, it will be easier for us to just find them and do our changes onto it. So once you determine where you want to put your projects, then you come up and you're creating two empty folders. The first one, it will be docs, is where we have to store our information or our documents into it, and the second one is going to be project, is where we have to write our codes or creating our PyCharm project into it. So once we created the project, and inside the project folder you're creating a virtual environment folder which is empty for now. And don't worry, I'll just explain them to you one at a time and you'll understand what are they. So open up your PyCharm. Here is the PyCharm window pops up. Then you are going to create a new project. Click on new project, and here it asks you the location. Here is where we have to tell the PyCharm where to create our project, and that is the important part which I mentioned earlier. You have to remember where you are creating your folders. Here is a location which I know where I'm going to create my folder. I'm just going to project 1, part 1, and here's going to be project. So here is where I want to project to be created. Then you click OK. And the second part is new environment using. This is super important because you have to create a virtual environment for your existing project, or basically the projects we are going to create now. Because if you don't, then you won't be able to execute your codes. So I won't go too much in details of it because I created another video specifically to determine how you're creating a virtual environment and how to avoid getting the error. So if you haven't seen it, please refer to my other videos in my channel, so you will see what virtual environment is. I explain it in more details. So basically you select on new environment using virtual nav, click here, and then here we're just going into password checker part 1 project, and you're selecting the virtual environment folder which we created a few seconds ago. So this is an empty folder. You click OK. Once we select where the project to be created, we selected where we want our virtual environment to be created. Once you selected those two, just click on create, and here we just create from existing resources. That's okay, and wait for it to be built. So don't worry, based on your system speed and performance, it could take up to a few minutes to create the environment for you. So our project is created successfully, and this is what you should see. So next step is moving on and creating our environment to write our codes into it. So on your left hand side in this window or tab bar here, you see your project. So right click on here and click on new. So you're creating a Python file. So the reason you have to create a Python file is because the PyCharm is an integrated development environment, or basically IDE. And you can create lots of other files such as HTML files and resource bundles here. And we have to specifically telling the PyCharm we are going to create a Python file or Python project, and we are going to work around the Python codes. So that's why we need to select a Python file here. Just select it, and here we are going to select a name for it. So name is an optional, but I will just stick with PasswordChecker1, and you can choose whatever names you want. So select the Python files, the first one on top, and click enter. So once you click enter, it will create your Python file or Python project for you. So we're going to test if this is going to work. Just write down print. The print command or print code actually writes or translated the codes inside the curly braces, or the double quotation signatures, and print it on the screen. So you just say hello, and we are going to run it. So we do not have any configuration or any project to work on. So just come to add configuration. It opens up a window for you. So just quickly, we're going to click on add new, select Python, and here is script path. Click on the project or the folder. You browse, select PasswordChecker1, which is the Python file which I created a few seconds ago. Click OK. Click apply and click OK. So basically we are telling the PyCharm to pick up the PasswordChecker1 and whatever codes inside it translated for us. Once our password checker is ready, click the play button, and here you see hello. Just check it if everything is working fine. Hello world. So far we created a project. We told the machine this is the project we're gonna make. We created a PyCharm environment. We selected our Python codes or Python project for it, and we're going to work on it. So basically our workshop is ready to work on. And the next step is we have to understand the documents, find out what they want from us, and then translate those information into codes. So we are referring back to our Word documents about to checking what information do we need to check. And here is another tip or another trick I want to tell you is you don't need to understand every single information about any documents. All you need to do is take up the keywords to understand what the actual problem is and how you can tackle that problem. So in this example, we know what is the outcome. Basically, we have to write a codes to check a password and determine if that password is strong, is weak, is including numbers only or letters only. So here in our documents, I'll just pick up the keywords. The keyword is program required to input a user password. We know we have to build a password. Click it and bring it back here. And the comment for PyCharm is control hashtag. Write down we need a user password. The password is weak or strong. And we have to determine if the password is strong or is weak. Go back to information. We don't need this contain letters or contains numbers only. Then we have to check if our password which entered by the user is including letters or numbers only. So then we selected this information as well. We need those information. Go back, and if the password is strong, otherwise the output should be password is strong. And select one more and choose here. Then that's it. That's contained a combination of letters, numbers only, and characters. So that's it. Just checking what we got. We need a user password. Password is weak or strong, contains letters or only, or contains number only. If it doesn't, that means the password is strong. So we got the keywords of the program, and we know what the program is going to do. So let's figure out how we can write a document or a pseudocode to basically tell us what the steps we need to take. So writing a pseudocode is simply you have to determine what steps you are going to take before writing any codes. And the main purpose of the writing a pseudocode or flowchart is you can avoid any time wasting. Basically, if we are going to jump right down the codes and just start coding, if something goes wrong, then our work will be wasted and obviously our time wasted. So we need to write down the pseudocode or flowchart to just follow the process, and based on those information we can write our codes. And if for any reason we need to update our program, which we will do on the next videos and next video series, then we will be easier for us to just come back, check the pseudocode and update the pseudocode, then accordingly changing the codes. So here we have input. So input, it means whatever we are going to enter. What are we going to enter in our case? Letting the user to enter their password. So the input will be letting the user to enter the password. Then here we have a process. The process is whatever the user is going to enter using their keyboard, we have to check it, either including numbers only, letters only, or a combine of two. So here we check process, come down. If that is the case, what we're gonna do? And if the password is not weak, that means it doesn't include letters or numbers only, that means it's strong. And here we write down else. So input, the user insert the information or the password into the system. Then we are writing a code to determine if the password is letters, numbers only. Check it. If it doesn't, that means the password is strong. So it's two conditions. Then the output, it will be message, and then we'll exit the program. Just writing down the codes and here. So we created our pseudocode. We don't need those information anymore. We just delete them and we leave our pseudocode on top. And based on those information, we're going to write our codes. Here, as our first step is input. That means we have to let the user to enter the information into our system. How are we going to do it? We need to create a variable, which I will create a variable first, and then I will explain it, what is it and what we could do with it. Just write down input, and it will be enter your password. Here we create a variable, and if you want to imagine what is a variable about, is basically is a food container. And imagine you have a food container at home. One day you can put soup in it, the second day you can put rice in it, and third day you can just leave it empty or do whatever you do it. The variables contain information or fruits inside it. That's why we call it variable, because it doesn't hold one type of foods inside it. You can choose whatever you want to put in it. So that is the same thing with our password. We are letting the user to put information into our system. Those information, it could be everything. It could be numbers, letters, signs, or whatever they want to put in. So that's why we have it as a variable. We name it password because the password represents what this variable is going to do. And if someone else is coming around and just reading our codes, which they will understand what is a password and what it's going to do. So that's why we created. So we passed our first step, and the second step is processing the information. And we're gonna check here if the information that user is entering is according to what we wanted from them or it doesn't. So that's why we're writing an if condition codes here, and we're getting our variable here and just write down is alpha, which stands for here password dot is alpha. Basically check if the password entered by user contains letters only. If the password entered by user includes letters only, we have to tell them it is wrong and they have to change the password. So that's why we need to write down the message equals to password is weak, and we have to tell them why we think the password is weak. It contains letters only, And the message is another variable, basically is another food container which holds different information inside it or different foods. So if the password includes letters only, it will throw this message to the user. And if the second condition, we have to check if the password includes numbers only. That's why we need to choose else if, which you can see here, else if. Again, we need to check the password is numeric. That means the password is including numbers only. Then you will write down the message. So we checked for the letters, for the numbers, and if none of these condition is true, that means the password it is a combination of symbols, letters and numbers together, and that means it is a strong password. That's why our last step, it will be else. We don't need to check for anything because we already checked. We have to just write down message equals to password is strong. Below else, start of the line, we need to just print out the message. And now we are going to run our code to see everything works based on our documentation. Just click on play button. Here it asks you to enter your password. You just put 1, 2, 3. Password is weak, contains numbers only. Just click play button again and I'll just write down ABC 1, 2, 3. And here it says password is strong. So that means the system works, and based on our information on our pseudocode, we delivered a password check successfully. Before recapping what we've done, I just would like to just give you a real cool example here. So do you see here we wrote down a message with different value in it. So this is a good example about our food container. Let's say this is our food container, we name it message. And on day 1, we put our solid food like rice in it. And we use the same container in the second day and we are going to put soup in it. So it's liquid food. And the third day, we just want to leave it empty, and this is what we're going to see. And basically the print, it will be your microwave. So whatever food you're putting inside the microwave, it will heat it up for you. It doesn't matter is solid, is liquid, or is an empty, because it delivers the container what is inside it. So here we chose, if we leave in the empty container here, we want to just deliver this, and if we want to just liquid or soup food in it, this is we're going to deliver. And this is the example which it came to my mind, and I think it works for you. And if for any reason it doesn't, just write down in a comment, tell me what you think is better way to explain something to you. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if we are going to, as per usual, recapping what we've done, we had some information according to our manager, which they ask us to deliver a program which it checks the password either is strong, a weak, or is a combination of letters and numbers together. So we had our input, the user enters the password, then we have a process to check either the password contains letters, numbers, or a combination of two. For any return, we will have the message on a screen, which it tells the user what is the outcome. That's it for this video. In the next video, we are going to develop and update our program and make it more complicated. If you have any question or any feedback, please make sure you write that in the comment section below. And if you like the video, please make sure you're doing a thumbs up. And at the end, if you are new to this channel, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, put the ring bell notification on so you won't miss any weekly videos. That's it for this video, and I will see you all next week.